Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Reinventing Cool. I'm your host, Maria Encebella, the founder of LondonCryo. On this podcast, I aim to talk to my guests throughout the process of their cryotherapy session, so you can get a behind-the-scenes look into the whole process while getting to know the guests better. For this episode, we have a very special guest, professional boxer and bassoonist Hannah Rankin. Many celebrities use the cryotherapy procedure to relax, reduce stress, improve sleep issues, significantly reduce jet lag, and lower inflammation. Cryotherapy, on the other hand, has been refined and is currently utilised to aid athletes in recovering and improving their performance. More and more boxers are using cryotherapy as a part of their training regimes. Instead of waiting for an injury to occur, boxers are using cryotherapy as a form of preventative treatment. So I'm Maria Encebella, the founder of LondonCryo. Welcome to our podcast, Reinventing Cool. Our first guest for today is Hannah Rankin. She's been a sponsored athlete at LondonCryo proudly for the past few years, I think it is now.
3 years now, yeah.
3 years. So I'll pass it over to you, Hannah, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yep, so my name is Hannah Rankin. I'm a professional boxer. I've had 15 professional fights and I became Scotland's first ever female world champion. So made a little bit of history for my country,
Yes.
which was great. I also have another career. I'm a professional classical musician.
Yes.
A little bit different on the career path there, but for me they make perfect sense. You know, it's all about performing either in the ring or on stage, so they work really well together for me. At the moment, I'm focusing on getting prepared for my world title fight on the 5th of November, so it's coming up really soon.
Very soon.
And I'm fighting for 2 world titles, the WBA and the IBO, in my second home here in London at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So I've got a very busy time just now, but it's fantastic to be here because it's a really important part of my recovery. So thank you very much.
Very good, which makes me really proud to have you here with us today. Yeah. Can I start with, were you a boxer first or were you a musician first?
Musician first.
Right.
So I think when I was a kid, I went through a whole range of things I wanted to be. I think there was an archaeologist, an explorer. I wanted to be an astronaut. You know, there was everything. You know, but I settled on music, and when I found the bassoon at probably at the age of 14, 15. I fell in love with the bassoon and I actually decided that's what I want to do with my life. So I went to study at the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. Mm-hmm. I did my undergraduate there and then I moved down to London to do my Masters at the Royal Academy of Music. Boxing came a little bit later actually. When I finished my undergrad, I was getting back into fitness basically, and I've always enjoyed combat sports. So I got into boxing. When I came to London, went to gym box, met my coach Noel Callan, who you know.
Yes.
And I fell in love with the sport then. So I'm a very late starter for a professional athlete, but I've managed to achieve some great things and just continuing on that journey.
Very good. Were your family supportive of you wanting to go into boxing?
So when I went to speak to, so Noel said to me, Hannah, you got to speak to your dad because this is the person that's going to have to watch you getting in the ring and potentially getting punched in the face.
Exactly.
So you got to speak to him. We're not doing this out of some sort of archaic thing. It's just your daddy's little girl, so you probably ought to tell him. And when I went to speak to my dad, he said, I don't know why you're asking me, Hannah, because I know you and I know you've already made up your mind. So you're going to do it regardless. But thank you very much for asking me. But I think now, you know, he's been all around the world with me for fights. He's one of my biggest supporters. But I think he's got to that stage now where he just lowers his glasses, so he can't quite see everything in full focus. But I'm very lucky that him and Noel have a great relationship.
Yes.
So they speak a lot prior to fights, and in the lead up, and they always have this little conversation. How is she? Oh, she's doing well. Good. I look forward to the fight night. That's how it goes.
Very
but
good.
it's just his little checkup.
Yes,
which is
really
supportive.
important.
And my sisters, obviously, having 2 younger sisters, they were my first introduction to fighting. We fought each other like cat and dogs. So they're always very supportive. So yeah, no, it's good.
Very good. And how do you find training to be a musician compared to training to be a boxer? Because as a boxer, you obviously have a really strict regime in order to get into your peak performance. Is that the same for being a musician?
Actually, yes, there's a lot of similarities. To be an elite level musician is very similar to being an elite level sports person. Physically, it's not as demanding on your body, but the amount of discipline and dedication and time you set aside to practice things is very, very similar. So for me, the my mindset coming into boxing, even when I was starting at white collar, I applied the same sort of focus and dedication that I would have applied to music, because you have to practice these things, and there's always different ways of looking at it, and you just have to be willing to put the work in. So for me, they actually are very similar.
Yes. And from practicing hours of music to practicing hours of training as a boxer, is your recovery the same for both of them?
No. So obviously with boxing, physically I need a lot more recovery and care, especially at the moment, like for a world title training camp, things like cryotherapy, infrared sauna, using the Normatec leggings for compression is absolutely paramount for me to recover, because I'm training 6 days a week, twice a day, and my body is getting pushed to the limit so that I'm in peak physical condition by the time I get into the ring on fight night. So that's a really important part. However, now that I look back at my music career, I spent hours in practice rooms, like up to 6 hours in rehearsals with orchestras, and we do concerts when we all go to the pub afterwards. I don't drink now, I've not drunk for maybe 6 years, so as a professional boxer, so that way of recovering, going out for a few drinks with your mates, if I finish a fight, everyone's like, yeah, let's go and celebrate. And I'm thinking, I'm going to bed. I just on 10 rounds of hard work. But I wish as a musician I'd known about things like cryotherapy, because it really helps me with my sleep. I sleep incredibly well after it, and actually your body does go through a lot of stress positions when you're sitting in orchestra for up to 6 hours. You're in a sitting position. You need to actually stretch your body. You need to remember to do these things, and this sort of recovery would have actually been quite helpful. But that's all we're looking back in retrospect now.
Yes, of course. So when did you discover cryotherapy the first time?
So somebody mentioned it to me. It was because I was injured. That was it. It was because I had an injury after a fight in New York, and Noel was looking into different ways of me recovering as quickly as possible, basically. I think that's when he got in touch with you, and we decided to come down here and try it out. And because up until that point, I'd only ever used ice baths, and I don't know what anybody else thinks, but it's basically torture.
It is, isn't it? I've done it myself, so I know.
So it's just kind of hard work. Whereas if you're using the cryotherapy chamber like twice a week as an athlete, the benefit is a build up, and it's great, and you don't have to get into basically the Antarctica in your bathroom. So it's definitely an improvement.
Whereas cryo is just a 3-minute treatment compared to having to sit in the ice bath for 20 minutes. So it's also a time saver, and does help to speed up your recovery.
My friends all think I'm mad. They're like, you're going in a giant freezer again. And I was like, trust me, it's honestly just the best feeling. Your body just really feels rejuvenated after it, and when you're doing all that sort of like, you're working so hard in the gym and things, sometimes that little bit of feeling of TLC is so good.
It is, and when you complement it with other treatments such as infrared sauna and the Normatec boots, I mean, you just do feel like you're ready to get out and perform again, don't you?
Absolutely. And like normally Sunday's my rest day, so that's my rest and recovery day. So I come in here, so I use the treatments as best I can, so that Sunday is I'm fully recovering, and then Monday I'm ready to smash it out again in the gym. And I always feel $1 million on Monday, because that's when I've had the most rest, my body's been taken care of, and I'm ready to go again. So it's a very important part for me anyway.
Amazing. So Hannah, can you tell us, what does the word wellness mean to you?
So wellness is something that's been talked about a lot recently. I actually work for a company called 7 Futures. We're a health and wellness company, and we work within big companies, sort of things like National Rail, Siemens Mobility, that sort of thing. It's something that companies are now addressing for their actual workers, and I think it's really important. For me, wellness is how you feel as a person, how your body feels, if you feel good mentally, if you feel good physically? What are you doing in your life to make those things feel good, you know? And I think sometimes we've neglected those sides of life, and it's important to actually address things, because I think we have a lot of problems with people having depression, anxiety.
That's true.
And wellness for me is when, you know, you're avoiding these things, and little things, little sort of routines you have in your life, ways that you take care of your mental and physical health.
Yes.
Makes such a difference. So you've got to have a little think about these things, but they all come into play when it comes to your own wellness and the wellness of others around you as well,
exactly.
especially if you've got children or if you've got family. And my dad always says to me, it's important to look after number one,
yes,
because then you're able to look after other people. And he found that obviously when my mum passed away,
yeah,
he was obviously distraught,
yes,
and but he realized he had 3 daughters to look after.
yes,
So once he realized he needed to look after himself to look after us,
yeah,
it made such a difference. And it's something that I've really taken on board. Kind of, it's quite personal for me, but
yes,
that's an important part of it, and wellness comes under that, you know,
yes,
recognizing what you need
yeah,
to be happy.
yeah. And do you share that with people as well, to say, you know, that they do need to be putting yourself first and look after yourself before you can be around other people?
Absolutely. I think people are worried that that's them being selfish,
Yeah.
and there's a real difference between being a selfish person
Yeah.
and being sensible.
Exactly.
Because you can't get the best out of yourself if you're not happy or comfortable or feeling like, you know, you've looked after yourself.
That's
first.
true.
And
Mhm.
and like, so I think people don't realize it, but if you don't take care of how you're feeling, it
Mhm.
can really impact, especially if you're working like a team in an office place or
Exactly.
something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
If you come in and you've not slept well,
Yes.
you've not eaten properly, not
Yep.
fueled yourself, and you're in a bad mood, that kind of rubs off on other people around you.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's not being selfish, it's just being sensible.
Yes.
And actually you realise that you can be a million times more productive,
Yep.
and also your environment can make you a million times more productive as well.
Exactly. So, Hannah, can you tell me a little bit more about your recovery regime, whether it be recovering from a musical performance or as a boxer after a match?
So obviously, like on Sundays is my rest day, so that's how I'm coming in here to do cryotherapy, infrared sauna, Normatec. But also I did get another session of infrared sauna and cryo during the week.
Yes.
When I'm in training camp. A world title training camp is roughly 10 to 12 weeks. So, you know, there's a lot of graft you're putting in the gym and a lot of
Yes.
hard work for your body. Also, as a fighter, I'm cutting weight. So, you know, I'm quite grumpy. So it's actually quite good to get in here because it improves my mood massively.
Yes.
Even though I'm still hungry, I'm actually a lot happier because my body doesn't hurt as much.
Yes.
Also during my training, I stretch a lot.
Yes.
Like I have to stretch. I have warm-up routines prior to every single workout.
Yep.
So I think people neglect their warm-ups.
Right.
I think that's definitely something
Yes.
that people will do, and then you end up with silly little injuries.
Yep.
That actually, if you just take it a few seconds to stretch it out
Yes.
first, warm yourself up properly, then you wouldn't have these problems. So
Yep.
as a professional athlete, I have to really pay attention to that.
Yes.
I have multiple types of foam rollers, like hard balls, soft balls. I actually use a Theragun as well.
Which is a great tool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I use those throughout the week as part of my recovery. So
Yep.
that's all important. As a musician, I know to recover, I have to sleep. It's the same thing
Right.
with boxing as well, but
Yes.
sleep is so important
Yep.
because you can't be at the pinnacle of your game when you're tired.
No, you can't. That's right. I
Nothing
agree.
functions, you know.
I agree.
So it's very important that happens. Also important to fuel yourself.
Yes.
So eating the right, I'm not saying you have to be healthy all the time, but eating healthier food allows your mind to be more active,
Alert,
and alert, and
Yep.
just your body feels better.
It does.
And you feel like you can achieve more.
I agree.
So, and also I think you kind of stop that perpetuating cycle of, I'll have a biscuit now. Oh, the sugar, I feel better. And then you have a little crash. And then you have another biscuit and then you have a little crash, you know.
Yes.
So making good choices with food is
Yep.
important for me, for my recovery as
Yep.
well. And it just means that I can perform physically in the gym or on stage at my best sort of potential.
Yep. So Hannah, do you want to tell us a little bit about your future plans, both as a boxer? We know we have your world titles coming up. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah.
Yes. And also as a musician, what you say your future is for that as well.
So at the moment, obviously with the boxing career, I haven't even looked past the 5th of November. That's literally the only thing I can think about. On the 5th of November, my arm getting raised and the new WBA IBO world champion. You know, that's all I can think about right now. Obviously, when that happens, I'm obviously going to be wanting to defend my world titles, hopefully unify. You know, I'm a great believer in goal setting, and I like to create a goal, smash it out, and then make a bigger one. And I like that competition, and I'm competitive with myself, so I think that's the best way to do it. So I'm sure there's loads of great things that I want to do after the 5th, but right now that's all I can see is that date in the diary. That's it. With music, my quintet has been doing really well. The Coriolis Quintet, we work with a company called Live Music now. And I have the pleasure of going into work in schools and in care homes.
Fabulous.
Specifically with people who are living with dementia and Alzheimer's. And it's a very rewarding part of my job. So after my next fight, I'm looking forward to coming into the Christmas season. We'll get lots of Christmas concerts coming up, but also getting to go back into care homes and schools to work with the kids and the elderly residents there.
That's fantastic.
So it's, when I maybe 10 years ago, my goal would have been, I want to be an orchestral musician, but I freelance now, and actually I love playing with my chamber group, and kind of working with the public and doing interactive concerts. I actually get a lot out of chamber music and like being close to people and seeing how music affects them.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I think after this fight, I'll be focusing in on getting a lot more work in with them and enjoying it really.
Very good.
So
we're going to pivot slightly, and we're going to get you ready now for your cryotherapy session.
Amazing.
I know you've done this before, so what we're going to do is what we normally do on the podcast is to get people in who haven't tried it first, so to see how they're feeling before we do the session. But as you've done it with us already, so how do you normally feel before you go into a cryotherapy session?
So I know a lot of people feel really nervous about it.
Exactly.
But actually, I'm always really excited because, and also kind of relieved that I don't have to get an ice bath.
Okay, so that's a really good angle to come from, right?
So for me it's a relief because I know I'm going to get the benefits of being at like minus 130 or whatever, and my body's going to recover, and I'm going to feel great after, and you get that really nice endorphin rush afterwards.
That's right.
And you know, obviously seeing as I'm not getting any sort of joy out of food right now, you know, like this is something that's exciting for me. So I'm excited to get in there, and I enjoy it.
Very good. Okay, so we're going to get you ready for your session, and I'll meet you over in the cryo room.
Perfect. Thank you.
Here we go. Okay. So, you know, watch your step going in. Fantastic. Take your robe off, pass it to me over the top.
There we go.
Thank you. So now that you're in there, we're going to do 3 questions in 3 minutes, because cryo is obviously a 3-minute session. So, Hannah, how does the actual process of cryotherapy compare to your initial assumptions about it?
So, the very first time I came, I was a little bit nervous because I was thinking I don't know what it's going to be like, but actually, you know, it's a lot less offensive than an ice bath.
Yes.
So I'm actually pleasantly surprised about it, to be perfectly honest.
Very good. Your career as a boxer and as a musician has been nothing short of exceptional. What is the one wellness habit that you've established for yourself to help you be more disciplined, both as an athlete and as a musician?
So for me, my most important wellness habit has been to drink lots more water. Massively important. I drink a good bottle of water at the beginning of the day to start my day off. I make sure I have water with me all the time, and it just keeps my muscles refreshed, and especially for training, but also keeps my mind alert when I'm in the orchestra as well. So that's the big plus. I would say drink lots more water.
And the last question I have for you, Hannah, is what does peak performance mean to you, both in the ring and in life? And how do you prepare for it? And how do you achieve it consistently?
So peak performance, I think, in the ring and in life is actually down to your mental state. You know, I think for me it's really important that we train our minds and we actually spend time like visualizing where we want to be, what we want to achieve, how we're going to achieve it, and set ourselves goals and challenges, you know, because I think when the mind is in a good place, the body can achieve anything.
I agree.
So for me, that's what I do in music and in boxing, and that for me is peak performance, when your mind is able
to imagine and put yourself in a position, and then your body will take you there, 100%.
Fabulous.
Great.
You feeling okay?
Feeling great, thank you.
Okay. So Hannah, now you've done your cryo session, how are you feeling?
Now I feel really, really good, and my body feels like it's just had that sort of little shock, but in like a positive way. So it's kind of like cold everywhere, but it's all starting to, the warm is starting to come in again now that I've stepped out.
Yes.
And it's a nice feeling. I always feel kind of like, it makes me smile. I don't know if it's the
endorphin rush that comes from doing it, that's right, because that's your blood trickling back out now that it's been oxygenated, and it does boost the endorphins as well for you. So if you could say one thing to the people at home who are on the fence about trying cryotherapy, what would it be?
Absolutely, 100%. Give it a go, because for me, it makes a huge difference. It makes me sleep better. It's lovely to have that little endorphin hit, and also the recovery is massive. It's really important for me as an athlete, but as anyone who's doing any sort of sport or wants to sleep better or just feel a little bit more happier in themselves. It's a great experience. Top bit of advice: don't worry about there's only going to be 3 minutes. Make sure that you've got loads of things to chat about.
Yes, exactly.
Pick a topic and you'll be like, 3 minutes has gone so fast.
Exactly, and that's why it always helps that we've always got the therapist in here talking to you about your session.
I always have some great chats about 3 minutes
exactly.
Because the time just flies by.
It does.
Realise it. So.
Thank you. You've been a wonderful guest. Thank you for coming on the show with us today,
problem.
Hannah.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Anytime.